A voice unheard. The rise of Lena Harper. In the polished hum of the Magnolia Room, a high-end restaurant nestled in the heart of Charlotte's finest hotel, the clatter of silverware and soft chatter formed a delicate rhythm. Linen napkins, gleaming cutlery, and attentive staff kept the morning bustle seamless. But at table 8, the rhythm broke. Lena Harper, a black waitress in her early 30s, stood frozen, her water pitcher poised mid-pour. Her eyes, sharp and calculating, had caught a stray line on a stack of papers dropped carelessly by Edward Langley, the CEO of Langley Enterprises. "That clause in Section 6B, she said, her voice steady but uninvited. "It's a loophole. It lets them walk away without penalty. Risky for a merger, don't you think?" Edward, a man whose custom gray suit screamed power, looked up, startled. Then his lips curled into a smirk. "If you're so smart, convince them to sign it," he said, loud enough for nearby tables to hush. The room seemed to hold its breath. Lena didn't flinch. She shifted her weight, her crisp black and white uniform a stark contrast to the intensity in her gaze. "You're right, Mr. Langley," she said evenly. "I'm a waitress. But contracts don't care about my apron. That clause is why your German partners won't sign." His jaw tightened. "You know why they won't sign?" he challenged. Lena nodded. "I can guess. Section 6B gives them leverage while leaving you exposed. And Section 10C? That vague compliance clause is a stall tactic. They'll delay until you're desperate." Edward's fingers tapped the table, his confidence wavering. "You read that in 10 seconds?" he asked, skeptical. "No," Lena replied, slipping her pen into her pocket. "I've seen it before. Same trick, different words." For the first time, Edward Langley was silent. Lena stepped back. "Your server will be right with you. Enjoy your meal." She turned toward the kitchen, but his voice stopped her. "Wait." She paused, still facing away. Edward stood, his tone softer but deliberate. "Miss Harper, that was unexpected. I don't take advice from strangers, but you saw what my legal team missed. I need this deal. Will you help fix it?" Quietly, Lena turned, her expression guarded. "I'll consider it," she said. "But not as your assistant. As your advisor. Equal terms." A beat passed. Edward nodded. "Deal." Less than an hour later, Lena sat across from Edward in a private conference room, her diner uniform hidden under a borrowed blazer. Papers were spread across the table, and she was already marking up Section 6B. "This clause contradicts your indemnity agreement," she said, her pen circling a line. "It makes you liable no matter who's at fault." Edward leaned in, rubbing his jaw. "How did my team miss this?" Lena didn't look up. "They didn't. They flagged it, but you were in a rush. Someone called it standard." She continued, "The environmental clause is another issue. It's too vague. Your German partners are strict about compliance. This looks like you're hiding something." Edward frowned. "So what's the fix?" Lena met his eyes. "Clean language. Mutual protection. Capped liability. And let me lead the call tomorrow. You can be there, but I'll speak." Edward hesitated, studying her. She wasn't the waitress he'd mocked an hour ago. "They'll question your credentials," he warned. "They won't get the chance," Lena said. "I minored in German. I know how to listen." Edward chuckled, a reluctant nod. "Fine. But you're not going alone. Legal will brief you." Lena's gaze didn't waver. "I'll brief them." By noon, Lena was in Langley Enterprises' legal department, a borrowed office overlooking Charlotte's skyline. A nervous junior associate, Tom, stammered through the deal's timeline. Lena listened, then asked for the original indemnity clause. Comparing drafts, she spotted a subtle shift, a lawyer's sleight of hand. "You switched counsel mid-draft," she said. Tom blinked. Yes. The Germans wanted a collaborative tone, so we hired an outside firm." Lena shook her head. "They reworded it to shift the burden back to you. You gave them a velvet knife." Tom paled. "Should I tell someone?" "No," Lena said. "I'll handle it." By 3 p.m., she'd redrafted 3 sections, annotated dozens of clauses, and cross-referenced German regulations. At 4 p.m., Edward appeared. "You're still here," he said, surprised. "I don't leave work half done," Lena replied. He sat across from her. "Legal says you spooked Tom." "I showed him where his math failed," she said. Edward hesitated, then asked, "Why do you care?" Lena looked up. "Because men like you never see women like me unless we're serving your coffee. And if I fix this, it changes things for both of us." That night, Lena stayed late. reviewing German translations. At 8:57 p.m., the conference room glowed with Charlotte's skyline as a backdrop. Lena sat poised, a navy blazer over a white blouse, her notepad open. Edward stood nearby, arms crossed, watching with cautious hope. He'd sidelined his legal team, trusting Lena's instincts. At 9 p.m., the video call connected. 3 German executives appeared, led by Mr. Mueller, a reserved CFO known for his scrutiny. "Good evening," Lena began in fluent German. "I'm Lena Harper, speaking for Langley Enterprises. Thank you for your time." She paused, letting them settle. "I'd like to address the discomfort our current agreement has caused. Several clauses don't reflect the partnership we intended. That's our failure, and I'll walk you through the fixes." Mr. Mueller nodded slightly. Lena continued. Section 6B now requires third-party verification before termination. Section 10C clarifies compliance terms. Section 15 caps escrow, easing financial strain. She paused. "This isn't a new deal. It's the one you agreed to without traps." Silence followed. Edward held his breath. Then Mr. Mueller spoke in English. "Miss Harper, we received your revisions. They're clear, transparent." Lena switched to German. "No fine print to bury trust." Another executive asked, "Your title?" Lena smiled. "Advisor for now." Mueller nodded. "We'll sign, contingent on legal formalization by tomorrow." Lena bowed slightly. "You have my word." The call ended. Edward exhaled. "You didn't just get the deal. You earned their respect." Lena stood, gathering her notes. "That was always possible. You just had the wrong people at the table." Edward offered her a full-time role, but Lena set terms. Autonomy, input, and no cleaning up others' messes. He agreed. She kept her diner shifts, saying, "The diner taught me more about people than any boardroom." 3 days later, Lena was shaping Langley Enterprises' new community impact division. She proposed hiring non-traditional candidates, GD holders, formerly incarcerated individuals, and community college graduates. The data she compiled showed they outperformed traditional hires in loyalty and retention. Some executives, like HR head Claire Dawson, resisted, citing risks. Lena countered, "The risk is staying comfortable while the world changes." Edward backed her, naming her director of equitable strategy. Lena's Legacy Stories initiative profiled employees like Ruth Carter, a former janitor turned analyst. The stories went viral, softening skeptical clients and inspiring employees. Lena spoke at the Southeast Corporate Summit. Her speech, "Your next CFO might be stocking shelves," sparking debate. Some praised her vision, others called it reckless. She didn't care. She was rewriting the rules. Months later, Lena joined a Department of Labor roundtable in D.C., challenging policymakers to rethink high-risk hires. Her words shaped a national workforce initiative. Back in Charlotte, she launched the Equity Rising Fellowship, training 60 overlooked individuals to lead. The Langley campus, now adorned with murals of activists like Tubman and King, felt alive. On a crisp April morning, Lena stood on the fellowship stage. "I came here pouring water for someone who didn't know my name," she said. "Today, you're not guests or second chances. You're architects." The crowd roared. Later, Edward joined her on the roof, iced tea in hand. "Legacy isn't buildings," he said. "It's the stories people tell when you're gone." Lena nodded. "I stayed for the girl who scrubbed floors and whispered ideas into the glass." She spoke, and I made sure she was heard. That night, Lena framed a poem from a teen she'd mentored, its final line reading, "Your voice gave mine permission." She placed it by her door. The next day, at Mama Ruth's diner, Ruth handed her a note. "Speak like your mother's listening. Stand like your grandmother's watching. Walk like the floor remembers you." In D.C., Lena addressed the White House Workforce Council, her folder filled with proposals from voices never heard on letterhead. "We're not exceptions," she said. "We're the blueprint." The room was silent, then erupted in applause. Lena smiled. The ground had shifted, and she'd made it undeniable. Lena Harper didn't just change Langley Enterprises. She built a system where brilliance, no matter its origin, could thrive. Her legacy wasn't in titles, but in lives rewritten, in voices amplified, in a world forced to listen. What do you think? Share your thoughts in the comments. How do you view the role of violence and injustice in shaping lives like Lena's? Take a stand, tell us where you stand on creating a fairer world.